Well, the thing about Jim that I always appreciated the fact is that whenever he made up his mind to do something, he would see it through.
Anybody you know who's played football, when the alpha dog, alpha male in the room comes and acknowledges you in football, right? That's our sport. It's a big deal. So when he comes over and puts his arm around me, he says, "Hey, way to go. You're fighting. You're fighting to keep us in this game." And you know, he told me that inspired him. You know, I don't remember specifically what he said, but I remember how it felt that he came over and acknowledged me. You know, it was part and parcel of our long 30-plus year relationship.
When you've got a guy like Jim McMahon who doesn't believe that he can't win a game ever, you know, you're always going to win. You're always going to do everything that you can to get there. And he led by example, and he inspired a lot of guys to do the same thing.
He was unbelievable. Every player on the team respected Jim, and every player on the team knew that we never were out of the game with him at the helm. He never gave up, and the guy was an amazing leader.
I do have to say this about Jim. From my days as president through these 3 decades since, he has always been absolutely perfectly courteous to me. Anybody who'd ever been interested in athletics, anybody who'd ever watched football, I think knew from day one that Jim was a very gifted athlete. Very smart, very competitive, at least equal to having another coach on the field, which is what you want in a quarterback. The pride he had in his dad that matched in its own way the remarkable pride his father had in him.
He was one that never would get down, and we always knew that we could come back with a kid like that, a quarterback. He was a member of our team. I love the guy. He took BYU single-handedly to a level in his football program that it wouldn't have obtained without him.
I'm so proud that, you know, he went and finished his degree, and even though me and my sister both beat him to it, you know, I'm proud of him, and it's exciting to be here and relive the glory days. He does deserve to be up on that wall, and he did so many great things here, so. All right, Dad, I love you, and I'm so proud of you, and I'm so happy that, you know, I can be here to support you.
Jim was a competitor, and he had a lot of, you know, leadership ability there that we often relied on. Jim could say a word or two, and maybe they weren't the greatest words, but that could fire up a group.
Jim, for one thing, was a great talent. Was a great athlete in his own right, not just as a football player, but Jim could play basketball. He was a great high school baseball player, and then he was a competitor. I mean, he did not want to lose at anything, and that drove him. When push came to shove, he was going to figure out a way to get it done, and that was infectious.
He was just tenacious, and we knew when he got his chance, he was going to be very special, and he turned out to be just exactly what we all thought. One of the things that you don't know about Jim unless you know Jim McMahon is the quality of person he is. He's a tremendous friend. He's got a terrific heart. He really cares about people.
He was amazing. I mean, I think when you talk to him, I don't think he would really say that he studied the game and he did all that, but he had to have, because he was a pretty smart football player. The one thing I guess I admire most about him, the players loved playing with him.
He always had a very positive, sort of commanding approach in the huddle. That was always sort of his, I think, one of his strong points as a quarterback. He just always took control, and was always very positive and never negative, and confident. He was the best quarterback I ever played for in terms of commanding the game, building confidence, and supporting everybody else. I never remember ever hearing him chew out anybody else for sort of dropping a pass or running a bad route. It was always like, you know, the next play, and here we go, we're off and going.
I was intimidated by Jim because he was such a strong personality, such a great player. And I thought he was a warrior and just did amazing things on the football field. I couldn't believe every time he had the ball, we would score. And I didn't understand how we could be so good. You know, the guy is, as a player, they're the greatest college player, I think, of all time.
He was better than anybody that I know of that could raise us from this level to this level, every single one of us. I think he raised the coaches to a higher level. He was the most competitive person I've ever met, in a way that influenced us in a positive way and lifted all of us to a higher level. I think at the time, I think he was the absolute best quarterback ever. And not just because of what he could do physically, but what he could do, the intangibles of influencing us to play better. What he doesn't realize, I'm afraid, is how loved he is. The older fans, the ones my age and older, they absolutely love Jim McMahon.
Yeah, I thought he was phenomenal and maybe the best college quarterback to ever play. And he was the team leader. You know, he was a guy that really everybody looked to.
He would have been a fun guy to play with, and I think would have been a guy that the players would have loved to rally around. He was one of them, but also he played his position with just this swagger and this mastery, combination of both, where you just when he was a quarterback, it's like, oh, we're good. We're gonna win.
You know, Jim's an awesome human being. He has unbelievable courage, unbelievable leadership. He will take responsibility himself for anything that goes wrong before he blames other people. You know, that's the kind of a leader he is.
I think Jim is a remarkable person. I think he's a tender, tender man and does a lot of things for the good that people will never know about.
I don't think anybody compares to Jim.
It's never over. We can get it done. I don't care what's going on out here. You know, we're going to win, and that was really his strength.
Gave me the most confidence that we were going to win every game, or that we were going to score every time that we were on.
You know, Jim was great to his teammates.
Jim is by far one of the greatest that's ever played the game.
You were better because, you know, he was on your side, and he was your leader.
Right, he's one of those leaders that you didn't want to let down because of who he was.
Just making things happen on the field, you know. He wasn't a very big player, but he had the heart of a lion, and that's what I loved about him. He pushed his team to do the best, and they always did.
We had Jim McMahon, the greatest quarterback in college, one of the greatest in history, and was the best in college football that year, and we always thought we were going to win.
It was always upbeat, good guy. And boy, he delivered the ball.
That guy was one of my best friends. I loved him. I loved the way he lifted his teammates up.
He knew how to take a team from behind or ahead or whatever the circumstance would be. He knew what it was like to be in charge. He was a fantastic leader on the field.
He was a true leader, true commander of the field. He had everybody's respect.
But as far as making you feel like we could do anything, he was that guy.
Jim had a great football mind, and he was a great leader and a competitor. And he was a delight to be around. I have nothing but good memories of Jim.
He was a coach's player and a player's player. They all just loved him and looked up to him and listened to him.
You know, we're honoring Jim McMahon, and I noticed my dad had said that actually the greatest thing that he's most proud about Jim is the fact that, you know, Jim at a later age, at a time when it was not easy, went and got his education. He finished his education.
But that was his mentality. They won the game because of Jim McMahon.
And Jim, congratulations, man. Way to do and take care of everything you needed to, and congratulations on being part of the BYU Hall of Fame. You were, in my eyes, in the BYU Hall of Fame before all this happened, but it's nice to get all the formalities buttoned up. And you did things that people only dreamed could be done in college football. You were kind of the trendsetter, so congratulations. I hope you have a phenomenal day and enjoy the experience.
He always respected me and stuff, and he was always a great competitor. I could see that even on the field and stuff, both practice and games and stuff. Congratulations, Jim McMahon. I'm so proud of you for graduating, because I know personally how hard it is to graduate. I idolize you as an individual, and I'll call you a young man because I got you beat by 5 years. So thanks, Jim, for being such a good leader and a good friend, and we love you, and go Cougars.